Hey guys, what's up? My name's Kayla from PlanningWithKay, and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be taking a little journey together and flipping through this entire completed bullet journal. So this journal here is a Lavender Scribbles That Matter Pro notebook, and it lasted me from February to June of 2018. So I managed to fit about 5 months in this bad boy, filling up approximately 200 pages. Like all of my bullet journals, I started it off with a year at a glance and a future log, in this case using my 2018 New Year sticker kit. I also set up a bunch of goal tracking spreads in the beginning of this journal since it was the new year, and while I thought that these spreads were definitely very useful towards the beginning of the year to flesh out all of my goals and really hammer down what I wanted to focus on in 2018, I didn't necessarily come back to these pages too much. What I do love about these pages was that once I finished this journal, I actually went back to my list of New Year goals just to see how many I had actually accomplished in these last 5 months. And I'm so happy to say that I've crossed off 7 of those goals so far, which for 5 months I really don't think is too shabby at all. So after those New Year's spreads, we jump right into the middle of February, which was a very scattered and disjointed couple weeks in my journal. If you've been following me since this time, you may remember that I didn't actually have any monthly spreads for January or February since I was moving at the time and life was just way too crazy to keep up with. So I wasn't exactly using my journal to its fullest capacity in February. But thankfully, around here is where I started using my succulent themed stickers, and this was when I really started to get back into the groove with my journal after those bumpy first few weeks. So if you're feeling like you're in a journal funk right now, please don't panic, because I'm pretty sure this happens to all of us at some point, and maybe just try mixing things up using some new supplies or new colors or a new theme, because something that simple really refreshes me and it gets me excited about my journal again. So March is when I really feel like this journal gets underway, and I did my whole monthly setup with my succulent themed monthly sticker kit, and I'll have the video of that setup linked in the cards in the upper right. Some things about the setup that I really loved were including my bills on my main calendar spread. I also thought that the circular mood tracker was really fun to fill in throughout the month, and this was also my first time in over a year using a full habit tracker, which I'm still using to this day because I loved it so much in March. I think the big thing for me in March was just getting energized and excited about my journal again after being so busy in January and February. And I finally had a chance to really sit with my journal again and have fun with the spreads I was making. And I think that that really shows in the spreads themselves. I also started playing around with color a lot more in this part of my journal, and I think that you'll notice that carries through the rest of this notebook, and it gets more and more colorful and vibrant as the pages flip on. So this is the first spread using the Busy Bee sticker theme that I designed for my April monthly spreads, and this is also right before I left for a spring vacation to Hawaii for a week. So I was just using my journal to really buckle down and get everything ready before leaving for that trip using those bee-themed stickers. I also ended up creating this packing list spread that I never actually ended up using, which is definitely a reality when it comes to bullet journaling. Sometimes you may make spreads that you just don't end up using, whether you forget about it or you don't have time or it doesn't end up being useful, and it's important to remember that that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So with that, we're already on April's monthly spreads, which I absolutely loved in this pastel, yellow, pink, and orange color scheme. This was also my first month using my daily review spread, which you may note is now one of my favorite monthly spreads, and it was my take on a 1 line a day and mood tracking spread. I actually set these monthly spreads up before I left for my vacation since I was returning on April 1st, and I absolutely did not want to have to deal with setting these up after getting back exhausted from our trip, which is something I definitely recommend. If you know that you have a particularly busy or stressful time coming up ahead, like exams for school, a trip, or a big move, try setting up some spreads in your journal a bit ahead of time. This will definitely help alleviate some of the stress, and I promise that your future self will thank you. So this is also around the time when I released my video showing 19 different header ideas. So I was making a bunch of these header collections in my journal, which is a really fun and relaxing exercise that I recommend anyone try out. Again, especially if you're running low on inspiration or ideas. Creating spreads full of different header ideas provides a really nice reference that you can always look back at the next time you're short on ideas, and it's a good way to kind of clear out the cobwebs in your brain just by realizing how many different ways there are to create the same header. So getting towards the end of April now, this is after I finished designing my Hawaii-inspired Under the Sea sticker kit, which was a fun and colorful theme and is what I ended up using to set up all of my May monthly spreads. I decided this month to just for no reason play around with my calendar and make it a bit smaller than usual, giving myself a bigger to-do list section on the side, but I didn't really end up utilizing this throughout the month. But the rest of my May setup was amazing, especially this habit tracker, which ended up being my favorite habit tracker setup I've ever used, and is basically the same layout that I'm using now for my July setup. I also really quickly wanted to give a shout out to this colorful lettering style that I'm using on this spread, because this is my all-time favorite lettering style now. All I do is use my Crayola Supertips and I alternate colors for every letter. It's so easy, it can be catered to match basically any color scheme, and I'm just crazy in love with the resulting effect. So this is also around the time when I was thinking of launching my Patreon page, which seemed like a pretty daunting task at the time. So I created a brainstorm spread to basically just brain dump everything I was thinking. And I don't know, something about physically collecting my thoughts and laying it all down on paper made it seem so much more achievable. And I launched my Patreon, I think the same week that I did this spread. So if you ever have a big project or something substantial that you've been meaning to get started on, but it seems sort of overwhelming or daunting to think about, try dedicating a whole spread to just that and just try to get all of your thoughts on the page without worrying about filtering too much out. So that way your brain will be clear to finally start those first steps. So these spreads here are a bunch of habit trackers that I created for my 5 types of habit trackers video, which of course I will have linked in the cards right here just in case you want to hear about these in more detail and actually see me set up all of these different types of habit trackers. I definitely want to do another video like that one where I show 5 different takes on a common bullet journal spread. I've already done weekly spreads and I've already done habit trackers, so leave your suggestions in the comments for what you want to see me do next in that series. Now for June, I went back to a full-size monthly calendar and I made all my spreads using the Camping monthly sticker collection. The spreads this month were a bit more hit or miss. I loved the calendar and the daily review. My habit tracker was a little bit overkill, and frankly my finance page and gratitude log were total failures. But that doesn't mean that I won't try them out again in the future. I think with bullet journaling, just because a spread completely flops one month doesn't mean it won't end up working for you in the future. Like, I used to hate habit trackers, and now I'm obsessed with habit trackers. So I really do want to find a finance spread that works for me, and I have 100% faith that I will. But for July, I'm just going to give myself a break from it, so that way I can return to the drawing board in a future month with some fresh eyes and try and figure out what I want to do to make it work for me. In June is also when I started playing around with watercolor in my bullet journal again for the first time in over a year, and I absolutely loved returning to it. Mixing up your mediums in your journal can be another incredible way to jazz things up, and watercolors especially I think are a really great one to try out. Here's where I shifted to my Peony theme sticker collection, which was one of 2 monthly sticker collections that I released in June, and definitely one of my all-time favorite themes to date. I didn't actually do any monthly spreads in my journal with this theme, but I had such a blast using it for weekly and daily logs, and it's actually the theme that I ended up finishing this journal off with. And for all you Luna fans out there, I figured you'd really enjoy these last few pages of this flip through, because it's basically just Luna being a bratty attention seeker and getting in the way as much as she possibly can. And after this spread, the rest of my journal I just end up using for testing out markers and pens, experimenting with some different headers and fonts, and it's also where I have some little mock spreads for one of my old custom journal projects. So this marks the end of my 4th bullet journal. I hope you guys enjoyed flipping through this entire completed bullet journal with me, and that you got some inspiration from all the different spreads that I've used over the last 5 months. Since finishing this notebook, I've already migrated into my newest bullet journal, and I just posted a Plan With Me video for that entire migration setup. So if you like the spreads in my completed journal, be sure to check that video out as well, and I'll of course have it linked in the cards above and description below so that you can find it. And of course, I will also have a link to my shop in the description as well, where you can find all the stickers that you saw in this flip through. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you liked it, don't forget to press the like button and let me know in the comments below how close you are to being done with your current bullet journal. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at PlanningWithKay if you're not already, and don't forget to check out the link to my sticker shop, supplies, and other social medias in the description below. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.